I don't see it yet.
Yeah.
It's telling me to follow and be notified when we go live.
Hmm.
It's like you think I'd know.
Okay. So I just got the text. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
What the hell?
Remember, we got that delay too. You seen a black screen or anything?
I'm seeing all your fancy little obelisks. Obelisks.
So we're on. All right. I just want to make sure everyone can see and hear. Both of us say something odds.
Rawr.
Rawr.
Oh, okay. I see us now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you hear us both?
Well, I'm. Yeah. Oh, you weren't asking me? I get so
I'm asking you.
confused. Oh, are you? Why
Yeah.
would you ask me if I can hear myself?
I don't know. Do you have Twitch volume? Okay, Prickly can hear us both, so we'll take that as good enough. Hello, everyone. This is Fiendish with Dimension Touring. I'm here today with Audzilla, um, and we're
Or
talking,
again?
huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
And we're talking contest building this week. Um, the Dimension community runs contests pretty much constantly. There's almost always some contest or other going on. Usually different themes, different criteria. Um, but there are some things that are going to be pretty much standard across the board, and that's like what are judges looking for? Now, granted, I can only speak for myself when it comes to contest judging, and I've judged a lot of contests, both those I've sponsored and both those that other people have sponsored. And there's a lot of mistakes that are pretty common across all of them, no matter what kind of theme it is or whatever, what the theme is or what the criteria are. So what I'm basically talking about today is building clean. You know, I can't help you if you're not matching the theme or whatever, but when it comes to the structure and the landscaping, those are the things where most of the points get deducted. Because I know I personally am not going to nitpick somebody's theme, but I am going to deduct for like this leaf right here floating in and out of this rock. I'm going to deduct for an entry point that I fall through. I'm going to deduct for landscaping. If it's a transformation, especially, I'm going to deduct for if I can break through that transformation and get around it. Or if you've got an area barricaded and I can get around that, um, I'm going to deduct for things like that. I'm going to deduct for things that float. I'm going to deduct for flicker, mismatches, gaps. So, and if your terrain paint, say, because I've actually seen this before where people who have a computer that they can't view terrain paint on with their settings, their computer's old or whatever, they can't see terrain paint. So they'll use the shit out of it for a contest build, even though they can't see it. And then what happens is you get somebody running in on ultra and they come in and there's just terrain paint freaking everywhere that covers everything, but whoever built it doesn't know, and they and they didn't check or have somebody else check on their behalf. And carved wood is bad. Okay.
Yeah, we determined last show that carved wood is the ramen of our building materials.
Carved wood is okay
If you pull
for no, no.
or new.
Carved wood is okay for some things. I would not recommend doing an entire house inside and out with carved wood. And yes, that has been done. Um, I thought I would go blind, but The house itself was nice and it was nicely done. It would have been a lot better if they would have used something not carved wood.
It's hard to see just how ugly it is, though, unless you have higher quality graphics card.
Yes, and you've got the design in the carved wood is so busy. Um, it's such a pain in the ass to line up.
Hmm.
And so all you see are mismatched patterns, um, funky looking overlays, and just, I wouldn't,
Do you deduct for that?
I did not. I did, I deducted, on that case, I deducted for like aesthetic appeal because that,
It's like this shit is ugly, yo.
pretty much, because aesthetic appeal is something that's kind of subjective because every person is going to think that something else looks, whether or not it looks good or bad. It's so like aesthetic appeal is one of those areas where you can allow subjective opinion to come in, and that's where someone might get ahead. If you say do the whole structure perfectly clean, there's no flicker, there's no mismatches, there's no whatever wrong with it, but on aesthetic appeal, if it's ugly, it's freaking ugly. I mean, granted, there's more, and a lot of times carved wood is ugly when it's in quantity. If the
You see what you started, Farah? Just sit there and behave.
So let me kick my UI on because we're going to start where the main thing is, and that's where your entry point is at. 99.9% of the time, if you use the base dimension to put the entry point on, it will not fail. If you put it on some random rock, if you have it hanging up in midair, if you have it just, you know, somewhere and it fails, okay, I got it. The first time I'm not going to mark off if I fall through. The second time, I'm going to be pretty damn irritated. Probably not going to mark off, but if I come in and I fall through a third time, that's when I start deducting points. Because, and then, like say I take this entry point and I know it's going to fail on a rock, and I didn't want to put a building block or whatever that might render first, and then I raise it way up here, which totally breaks the immersion for when you're coming into a place.
But it's fun. It's very dramatic.
No, it's not. It says that you knew the entry point was in a bad spot and you left it there.
So where exactly you're telling us all the places won't work, where actually works?
Where it actually works? On the base dimension. Or,
Boring.
hey, you can this is only one of the ones that we're going to look at today. There's a couple more I've got, and those are some cover-up jobs, and the entry point is still on the base dimension.
So you're talking about the natural ground of the
Yes,
dimension.
yes. Like
Oh,
like even if you use, say, Castle Fortune, you've got those tents in the corners. Those are the highest. That's the highest point in the dimension. You set an entry point on that, it'll never fail. So this one is a kind of an old build, um, and always when you're going through and looking at your build when it's done, um, go in the first person view because you'll see a lot more that's wrong with it than you would if you're zoomed out. Like here, I don't know where those pieces of wood are coming from. I'm guessing it's from this window frame right here. But so that would get deducted if this was a contest build. Especially since it's dark wood on top of white wood, so it really stands out. Then you can see some gaps. Um, you've got some mismatches here. Oh, there, the arrow came back. How did I do that? I don't know. But like that is a big problem. That's something that could easily been fixed just during the build, and I'm probably going to have to come in here. I'm going to come in here and fix this later because this is driving me nuts.
yeah, but you did it intentionally for the purpose of this stream, right?
No, this was how I built it.
I was trying to help you out, homie.
And then looking at the door itself, um, there's all kinds of issues here. I mean, I was trying to do something fancy pants with the door, but for some reason it didn't work out the way that it should have, and so there's a lot of ugliness here. So, okay, props for trying to, for not using a pre-made door, or just um, trying to think outside the box. But if you don't do it well, then could be a problem. Yeah, there's no hinges, it's just magically hanging there, and I'm not going to say
No
there's hinges.
points for trying. You have to succeed.
In this area right here, this is, I mean, we haven't even gone inside yet. This is still outside looking at the entry frame. Um, this right here, that could have been fixed really easily. And this is common not just to my builds, but it's common in a lot of builds. Um, when you go through for looking at contest touring, and the way to easily fix this is, one, come in, look at first person, and two, get some fresh eyes. I know pretty much every contest rule stipulates they have to stay closed until X date. um, the reality is you want to get a friend to come in there and check it out. Get a friend that's going to be honest with you, and not just
Try
be
to
like,
get a friend that you know happens to be one of the judges.
well, I did not know that you were one of the judges. Yes, with the treehouse contest that's
Oh my
currently
god, why
going
did you
on.
just run me? What the hell?
With the treehouse contest that's currently going on, I asked Odds to come in and check it out. I had no idea she was one of the judges, and I'm sorry for outing you. Um,
So much for that secret. Sorry, Kula.
so, yeah, get a friend that's not a contest judge to come in here and look it out. And you can see here, just looking at the window, the 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 frame overlap is not the same all the way around. So I'm pretty much going to come in here and tear this whole damn thing down, because there's um, a lot of problems just looking at the outside. So, I mean, before I ever even go inside, I'm running around. And it's limestone, so I would expect to see some flicker. And if not flicker, then seams or mismatches. So I'm going to go out on a rope here and say I did a pretty good job of lining up all this limestone. There's a little bit of a seam right here.
Little bit.
And right here.
I could fit my head in that gap, woman.
Okay.
I got a big old head.
And then another thing that you want to look at is, especially when you're doing custom windows. Ah, crap.
What about these canopy dome things that you get stuck on? I'm totally deducting for that.
Okay.
I'm gonna screw on it because I can't get to the house. Oh, here we go.
And then again, if you look at it from a different angle, you see more gaps. One thing that you should try to do is make sure that there's not a big gap in the window frame to either the inside or outside wall.
And that the windows are low enough for me to creep on.
No.
Plus 10 points for your windows, fiendish. They almost make up for those horrific plants that sucked me in.
And again, here's another seam. That's a pretty good one too. Here's another seam. And then here, with the landscaping, part of this overgrown garden is sticking into the wall. And here. And look, I got my squiggly lines back.
I think the arrows were pro. I mean, they were just shit sharp. Now you got it all over the screen.
So things like this, they're pretty. What it says is that I didn't take the time to look through, to go through it. and make sure that, stuff was straight. And when I see that when I'm judging, that's exactly what it tells me then too. And you know, stuff like that, I'll give it this. What the hell? Okay, that's a problem. I thought I might just be too hard on myself. Now I know I'm not when it comes to paying attention to. Okay, normally, like if I'm just out touring around, I don't see stuff like this. I don't notice it unless it's really obvious in my face. For contest touring, this is how you whittle out who won. Honestly, I don't like coming in and picking apart a build looking for flaws, but that's the fairest way to judge, because you can't. I mean, you can say, "Oh, I like it." Okay, doesn't mean that it's better. Just because you like it doesn't make it better than anybody else's.
Exactly. Well, you got to judge on technicalities and the
Yes,
guidelines that were laid out.
yes. I mean, you know, somebody could make the best dimension in the world, but if it's built like shit, then it needs to be reflected that it's built like crap.
Yeah, it's really just attention to detail.
Yeah, it's like here, there's another leaf coming in and out of the wall, and I mean, overall, I would say that this is a good build. It's a good house. If I was just like randomly touring, I'd be like, hey, I like this. This is kind of cool. Um, but when you start tearing it into the structure, you see that it's not clean at all. This would probably knock it out of contention for anything.
Oh, geez, who invited this clown?
This right
We
here.
got.
I don't know if you can see it, but there's like the damn ceiling doesn't extend all the way to the wall.
Intruder!
So that would definitely be a huge point deduction here. And so, not going to go too much into the furniture in this one. I mean, it's all morphed. I know for a contest like Cozy Cottages, all morphed furniture would definitely be a big bonus. Um, just because it's not using pre-made stuff. The wall art suits the theme of the house. Kind of. I'm pretty biased. I like this wall art in here. Oh boy.
You like your little stoned tiki faces.
I like my little stone tiki faces. Um,
Sorry about Ghost Rider in the back there.
that's about as good as I can get with wall art. So, I mean, um, everything in here is morphed. There's no real. Now, if this was an actual cozy contest entry, this right here would disqualify it right off the bat because it's a shared set. That boat. I pulled that boat off of DA. Z-Mage owns that boat. And even if I had modified it, it's still a shared set.
I don't know. I wouldn't take off for it. It's an amazing freaking boat.
It's an amazing boat, but it's still. I know I publish in the rules, no DA sets. So if someone couldn't be bothered to read the rules, that's not my problem. Should have paid attention.
Yeah, definitely read because there's been some contests where you could use DA sets, but not for the focal point of the build.
Yeah.
Like for the morph contest. As long as you had your original morph up, you could have other morphs that other people created just as accents.
Yeah. And for mine, I know mine is none at all. Um, this here, if I'm looking at the inside, this is a small thing. This would be where Diva would tell me I'm nitpicking. Um, and maybe she's right. But there's nothing on the inside of these burners that differentiates it from the rest of the stove. It just looks like some stuff plunked down to make a burner. But nothing, where's the dirt?
Dirt. I
Yeah.
I don't know what you do on your stove, but mine don't have dirt on it.
Well, your inner rings still aren't the exact same color as your stovetop, are they? Unless it's a
Actually, they
glass
are.
top.
I have a glass top.
Okay then, that's a glass top stove.
There you go. Problem solved.
And in here you can see with like some of the stuff on the table, because usually the opposite of floaters is to have stuff sunk in too far. And an easy way to fix floaters, if you don't want to go into free camera mode, is just to make a dwarf. Come in on a dwarf, because that's a whole new level, a whole different angle of view. So you can see when stuff is not flat to a
I'll
surface.
typically back up a little bit when I'm placing an object, and I will intentionally put it through whatever object I'm placing it on, and then slowly drag it back up. That
Right,
always helps me.
right. That's what I did here, and I just didn't bring it up high enough. And then another thing that's going to be an issue on the inside um, is that when I'm here in the bathroom, I can see this water pole sticking out the bottom of the table. And when you start talking about like who's going to place and when, stuff like that really starts to matter. I mean, during, you know, if because the winner may not have this sticking out. They may have a wine bottle with something in it, but they might have took the time to either make the table a little bit deeper or something. Now I do have some flicker here. No, that's definitely the water pole sticking out from this bottle right here. And then coming into the bedroom, this bed is freaking massive. The rest of the furniture is pretty much set up for a normal size. This bed, what did you call it before we started? A party bed?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Go ahead and lay down, if you would, please.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
See, if this is set up for character size, you could definitely put 3 or 4 or 5 people in there with her.
Yes, you could. Or this is quit touching me bed.
Yeah.
Because I try to cuddle with Fiendish, and she's like, this bed is just too small. Get away from me.
You got to get on your own side.
Or if you've got 20 million pets, perfect bed for that.
Mm-hmm. And then again, you can see with the lampshade here, there's some crazy looking little gaps. I tried to skimp on the item limit, and sacrifice the quality to the item limit. And then I ended up I've got 210 items left to spend here. So if I'm coming in for a contest judge, I'm like, well, where's the justification for cheesing on the lampshades?
Because they got it from a garage sale. Maybe that's all they could afford.
Look at the rest of the house. Would you say that that was all they could afford?
Maybe they spent all of their money and they got to the lamps and they're like, crap, now I'm broke.
And again, now one thing I generally don't gig on are tall ceilings. Camera clipping, that's when your camera clips the collision of your ceiling, really bugs me. It's one of my big pet peeves. So my ceilings are always tall. So that means my windows are always big. So I personally don't generally mark off too much for stuff like that. Now, if the window is not proportional to the wall, I will probably look at marking off for that.
Window to the wall.
Yeah. So, if I were doing if this were a contest entry, this wouldn't place. It wouldn't. Overall, it would not do very well. Even though, if I'm just like coming into tour, I'd be like, oh yeah, I like this place. It's a nice little beach house. And then I still haven't even gone through the whole rest of it, but just what I have seen tells me that this is not going to be a very good.
This is atrocious.
I'm
You
not
should
saying
just scrap the whole thing.
no, because even Even those entries that are not built well will usually have some kind of idea in it that's really clever. And you're like, wow, I wish that they would have had, maybe a little bit more technical knowledge to be able to, um, to make it cleaner. Now, one thing that is a problem when it comes to proportions is the height of this door and where the doorknob is. The doorknob's hitting me mid chest.
Hits me in the hoo-ha.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't? It does from my camera angle. Where's it hit me?
It's hitting you about the same spot it's hitting me, about mid chest.
How is that possible? I'm like 10 feet taller than you.
Mm. So,
10-minute argument over where the doorknob is. As long as it don't hit me in the ass on the way out.
so a lot of the problems that are in this house could be solved just by taking the time to come in and fix the gaps and move maybe some of the foliage away. There's not really any extensive kind of landscaping here, but one thing that could be a problem is that there's no way to contain anyone up on that top level. For proportions, if you build for your, if you can build for your character, honestly, where I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what if it's proportional to your character or just as long as the proportions are consistent. Like take Lovey. I'm just going to throw her name out in vain. She used to build everything like huge at maximum scale. And you go in and you're like, wow, all this stuff is gigantic. But she was consistent throughout. So I don't.
Yeah, kind of like Vu's as well. When she did that mouse
Yes.
house,
Yes.
everything was
huge.
proportioned to itself.
Yes. Everything was consistent. And I think consistency is better than building for any certain scale. I mean, I try to build for my character size, and I usually can't do it. Like these bar chairs here are bigger than my dining room chairs. They're wider. But consistency definitely matters more than whether or not it's built to a certain specification, because everybody sets their character height different too. So if I'm coming in as a contest judge, I then that's saying that I should mark off because something's not consistently proportioned to me, which makes no sense. Honestly, when it comes to contest building, instead of trying to get what the judge built, you enter only to win. I think you're going to set yourself up for failure that way. You need to build, and this is just my opinion here, you need to build what you like. Build something that you're proud of, regardless of whether it wins, places, doesn't win, gets a judge's choice, whatever. Build something that you're proud of in the long run. So we're going to go to the next one that might be a little bit better. And it's kind of got a little bit of a transformative element.
A transformer element?
Transformative.
Yes! Oh.
So, you saw this one, I think, when it was in progress.
Oh, yeah. Because the glowy stuff. I like all the glowy stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, this is coming off of one of the rocks in Corp. There's got, that has those big-ass balloons that are sticking up past the ceiling of the bubble. I don't like those, so those are pretty much covered. I know this year, with this year's Cozy Cottages, I am doing bonus points for transformations. For how much you transform a base dimension.
Oh, good lord.
it's bonus points, and it's only 2 points. Now, 2 points has historically been the difference between first place and not placing. Just throwing that out there.
I'm already stressed.
But with that, now I've got some open edges here. So with it like this, I'm going to run and I'm going to see if I can, how far I can go. How far can I get down? Where I want to break, and this would go for any kind of environmental build. I'm going to try to break that transformation. Where are the holes at?
Now, when you try to break the transformation, do you use a jump master?
Nope, I do not.
Excellent.
I do not use a jump master. I won't use one. I honestly despise that item. Because people put a lot of work into their transformations, and leaping over it all with the jump master kind of negates the whole thing, and I think it's pretty disrespectful to somebody's work.
Yeah, Bera. It's like the first thing he does when he comes into my builds. he zones in bouncing.
Well, I mean, everybody's of a different opinion of that, and some people like when others come in using the bounce master so they can see how good their transformation is. I don't typically build for people to come in with the bounce master, so yeah, they could get over it if they really wanted to.
I'm just like, bitch, dust while you're up there.
So there's no... I broke through it earlier, but it took... I'm not going to have a bunch of people looking at trees. So one way to fix that... and I got to thank Alejandro for this tip, because I used to use just invisible tiles. So now I've got spheres running around pretty much this whole boundary. So Jump Master is probably not going to get you up high enough to get over these. Especially when you can't pop open the item list to see. Yeah, these are only... these spheres are only at scale 6, and they go up to 20. So, let me take... So if I scale this to 20, this would cover pretty much the whole building area. But I don't have it back there. So, spheres, when you're talking about blocking off a landscape, spheres, even though they cost more than the squares, they're going to be cheaper in the long run because you don't have to.
Yeah, you get a lot more out of them.
Yeah.
It's not as easy for little shitheads to squeeze in between them if you don't. I have a hard time using that bright orange stuff like that, getting it lined up just right. It's worse than the glass to me.
Yeah, it really bothers me too, so I'll position it first. Like when I built this one, I came in, I positioned the spheres, and then I saved them as a set. And then got rid of them. So then they could go in last. I just had to keep the spaces for them.
Ain't you a smart one?
So that is one thing you can do if the orange stuff really bothers you. So again, the entry point here, there's a big temple rock that's up right under this thing here. So even if I fall through the entry point, the base dimension is going to catch me. Now one thing, I'm using large Zarth cliffs to make the ground layer here. I like those a lot better than I do some of the Ashorn rocks because they're flatter but they're green. They're not sandy, so I don't have to waste a bunch of terrain paint on them. But there's an issue with surface collision on those rocks. You can see it when as I start to run through, I'm bouncing around. I'm not necessarily going to bounce off, deduct for stuff like that until I get stuck. If I get stuck, that's a problem. And that's going to be any contest judge. If you're running through a landscape and then you get stuck, you're going to be like, what the flip? And then while I'm running around here looking at this landscape, I'm also looking at the outside of the house. Do I see flicker? Especially because you're talking now about overlaid brick. So if I wanted to use brick planks, of course, then I'd have brick, some brick running vertical and some brick running horizontal. I'm trying to have the brick just from an aesthetic viewpoint. When the brick all runs the same way, it looks better.
How would you fix it if you had just a minuscule flicker? How would you fix that?
Okay, if I had like a little bit, just a tiny little bit of flicker, uh, which
Would you use
I
Tinker
need my UI
Tools?
on, I would. I would go and come in here. I would do a relative move, just like
Yeah, because
one.
if you try to use that slider, you're not going to be able to get those
Yeah,
micro movements with your mouse.
no more than one is usually enough. 1,000th.
And one thing I've noticed when checking for flicker, look at it from many different angles, like literally run around it.
Yeah, that and now what we've seen since this draw distance fix came in is that when you're at a distance, you'll see some. When you're out at a distance, you'll see flickering, but then when you get up close, you won't. So I don't worry too much about flickering that I'm seeing. If I'm way out here and I see something flickering, I'm really not going to worry too much about it. But when I'm judging and I come way up here and it's still flickering, then that's something that you could fix. And again, and I don't mark off for landscaping being right up against the house because that could be normal. The only thing I'm going to mark off on is like we saw with the last one, where the bushes and stuff are going inside the wall. And so if I'm looking at it from the top, because now if there's gaps and mismatches, I can see those from looking from the top down, just taking a different angle. And then again, going into the first person view.
Now, would you recommend that as somebody's building, they're absolutely meticulous, or would you say take breaks periodically or wait till the very end?
I would say take breaks periodically. Because if I say, oh, I'm going to fix that later, later never comes. I'll forget about it because I'll be like, damn, I'm just ready to get this thing done. I want to go do something else. Um, or, and then it just won't ever fix it. So if you know you'll fix it, okay, but if you know that you won't, then I would fix it on the spot.
I wouldn't build just a little bit and then be meticulous about it because you'll never get anything done. If you get on a roll and you're having
Yeah,
great ideas, just get them out there and then take a break and go back and adjust them.
yeah. Like see this seam here, and this is another problem area when you're talking about overlaying, uh, well, any kind of corner, but especially with brick, because now you have to scale all these bricks differently. So there's a seam here at this corner. So I would deduct for that. And it runs all the way down.
Ooh, two different colored arrows.
Yeah,
My, we fancy.
I, that's all XSplit is doing all that. Pretty amazing. I get the credit for it. Is there any way to turn brick triangles to go around a circle? No.
No.
No. So again, you can see that um,
F triangles.
there's still some seams. I mean, this is all pretty minor stuff. If I'm really going to start deducting for this, that's when I am nitpicking, because this is pretty minor stuff here.
I mean, there's really not a whole lot you can do about that. That's based on
Yeah,
the placement within the dimension.
yeah,
But at least they're lined up, they're not flickering, there's not a gap.
right. And here there's another faint seam. But overall, the general quality of this house, the construction, has been a lot better than the last one that we went to. Even though this house is like 3 times the size of that one.
Don't got no creeper windows though, so fail.
Yeah, you can. Oh, now
Is
here,
there? Well, I guess you can't creep. There's just so
here's
many damn plants in the way.
here's a spot. Excuse me. Here's a spot, and this is like one of the most common things. Is you just got a little bit of flicker right here at the corner where there's the planks of these window frames overlap, and now it's not doing it, so it's not consistent. So I would still knock off just a little bit for that, because, and then I would knock off for this right here. I've never seen out touring. I would, or during a contest judge, I've never seen a place that was built 100% perfect, and I don't expect it. So kind of all the corners, especially on the main floor, um, there's that seam. And then here, again with the surface collision of these rocks, that are, like I said, I'm not really going to bother about, because there's the way to fix that. Because when I first built this one, you can see I'm like pretty much way sunk down into the ground here. The way to fix that so I don't get hung up on my porch steps is to put a building block under the surface of the, put a building block and make a ramp so it doesn't come up above the grass, but it leads me right to the stairs. And then of course the stairs itself, because I mean, you know, laying over, if they're straight stairs especially, you can put down an invisible tile to smooth it out so you're not getting stuck.
Girl, you cheating.
How am I cheating?
Laying those invisible tiles down so it's smooth.
No, that's pretty much what I recommend. If you are making your own stairs, especially if they're straight stairs, that, I mean, put it down.
Y'all don't understand just how bad steps bug the crap out of this woman.
They do.
Like, I have heard, oh my God, countless rants over getting stuck on steps. It's like when veterans get together and they start telling war stories, but it's always the same story. It's always that one time I was judging a contest and there was a beautiful build, but I couldn't get up the damn stairs.
Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, there was an entry last year that it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. I mean, it pinged, you know, I really, really, really liked it, and it was quality built construction throughout, except for the fucking stairs.
There we go. Sorry, guys.
If I can't make it up your, I think I ended up knocking about 5 points off just for the stairs. That's a big.
She was like,
reduction.
she was like, you owe me a Rex now.
And then some clutter. There's not a whole lot of detail in this room, but there's also no. If it's a second story house, I'm looking for stuff poking under from the top floor. You notice I'm not really taking a lot of time looking at what the design is, what the furniture looks like. Holy shit. That's another one of my pet peeves.
Hey, I'm sitting back here minding my own business. You was outside. We ain't hurt nobody.
Yeah. And there's nothing. I'm not seeing anything coming in the inside walls from the outside. And in all this. One of the crappy things about Rift building blocks is that it's either a really busy pattern or it's like totally smooth. But that's going to be a problem right there. I mean, honestly, if it's for a contest, I would just as soon, because I never say for cozy cottages, I never say you can't use pre-made stairs. Just use pre-made stairs because you're not going to fall through those. The leaves coming through the windows, I'm not going to deduct for that.
Because maybe the windows are open.
No, yeah, it's the blowing, it's the cherry petals coming off the trees. And there's nothing. And it's complete. So, I mean, if I was like, yeah, if you're making stairs, using a rounded edge will not have someone get stuck. A lot of times, if you use corner posts, you won't get stuck. Oh my God, the anchor typing. And then one thing that I did do in this build that I don't normally do, I'm going to copy that one, is I put in a little bit of a false floor. Let me take that one back out and use this big one. So that all the stuff that's sticking through is, I dropped the ceiling for the main floor probably a good 2 or 3 game units.
2 or 3 game units.
Yeah.
Technical terms.
Well, I mean, this ceiling was really high. So, I mean, overall, if I'm scoring this one as compared to the last one, this one's going to score a lot higher. Not even based off a theme or anything else, but just off the quality of the build. And, because this one took a little bit more work with the landscaping than, especially now, I think next time we're going to talk about cozy cottages a lot, because I think the transformation piece is going to be kind of confusing to people. And how did those bonus points play out? As far as a bonus point goes with this one, maybe just be like half a point, because I didn't really transform anything. I just kind of covered over what was there.
Oh shit, that's exactly how I was perceiving transformation, that you couldn't tell what dimension it was.
But you can, because I didn't do anything with the sky. This is the natural sky for court.
Damn, girl, you're like a drill sergeant. Running that white glove over shit.
Well, like I said, Diva always called me a nitpicking witch. No, because the steps sky projector has a weird brownish ambient light. The ambient light from the steps sky projector is totally different from the natural sky in court.
You can't get anything past Rift Wiki over here.
So, and I have tried to find a way to duplicate that, but I can't do it.
Plus the clouds move at like 0.2% miles per hour faster than the steps clouds.
Whatever.
So
Whatever. Okay, so the next one, the last one, is going to be one that would probably this one was a rebuild. From one that I did in like 2013, and I finally just said screw it, I'm tired of it. It looks like crap.
to us it looks like a masterpiece, but
Well, I'll tell you what, I think I this might be egotistical or something. I really like how this. I'm really pleased with how this one turned out. As far as the transformation goes, it's pretty much 100%. You would never know this for Endless Eclipse just standing here. Because where's all the floaty shit in the sky? It's it's gone. I mean, and um, the pond surfaces pretty much negate a lot of the, a lot, not all, a lot of the way that Endless Eclipse would normally reflect water. There's one piece of the base dimension sticking out, um, and that's this rock that's mostly hidden by the trees right here. Most of these trees are tall enough to where you're not going to be able to jump over them with anything. The only area where you might be able to get through would be where the river goes through. And again, there's an invisible sphere there, so you know, you can't get through that.
Neener, neener.
And so that's again with the surface collision, the rocks. You really notice it right as you're coming toward this bridge. But again, it's not going to be too big of an issue if you don't get stuck.
It's freaking me out, Maurice.
Yeah. I mean, it bugs me. It bugs me right here.
It could just be a shit ton of leaves piled up, that's
Yeah.
all.
But as long as you don't get stuck, it's okay. So I got terrain paints running along the ground here because I'm trying to reinforce that autumny feeling. Now, they're not all the same paint.
Autumny.
Like there's fallen leaves, there's yellow free march. I think there's a mossy moonshade around here somewhere. It's all different, all different paints, because a lot of times if you are running a terrain paint, and you get that same pattern repeating. Oh, you got hay. Um, it tends to be something that's not realistic looking. That's just a personal preference.
It actually ends up looking like paint then.
Yes.
And break up that monotony a little bit. And these newer terrain paints, they blend pretty well. They have a little bit of translucence to them.
They do, and they're a lot smaller than the old terrain paints. But you'll notice I stop before I'm not running right up to the house with them, because I don't want to paint my outside walls. But I am going to look at the outside. And with the landscaping being this close to the walls, I want to look at it from zoomed out, even though I'm not going to see as much. The ceilings, the roof is a little bit crooked. There's a carpet tile poking up through the roof there. Just a little bit.
Sweet Jesus, I never would have noticed that. Ridiculous.
Well, some of that is, you know, you tend to notice more with your own
If you
builds.
built it, yeah, that makes sense.
Like if I was judging, I may not notice it on the first visit when I'm coming through judging, but I would probably see it on subsequent visits, because I know when I'm judging for a contest, the first run through is always just for fun. I want to go in and I want to see it and just, you know, admire the work that somebody put in. The first visit, I'm not trying to pick anything apart. I'm not saying, oh well, they could have done this better, they could have done that better. I'm just like, wow, you know what, that's cool. Now, granted, on that first run through, when you're touring just for fun, you are going to see the ones you're going to be able to kind of notice the ones, like, hey, this one's probably going to be, a placer. Let me set that, make note of that one for some extra, um, you know, being picky. And I saw a little bit of flicker here at this corner, but I don't see it now. And again, yeah, extra scrutiny. And it's not to say that, all builds are going to get visited at least 3 times if it's me. At least 3.
Do you see this stone tile sticking up here? Or is it just on my screen? Like where I'm standing. Right here, there's a big square.
That's part of the rock.
Oh, it literally looks like a tile sticking out.
Yeah, that's part of the rock.
I would deduct for that.
Okay. And again, so you don't catch on the stairs. Now with all of these doors, they're just kind of suspended there by freaking magic. So that would be a slight deduction. But this door is, it's a door. Now one thing, like for say a cottage build in particular, one thing I think is important to note that, add some personality. It doesn't have to be a lot of item count, but like a show house is, they're pretty, but who lives there? What do they like to do?
They like to keep their house neat and orderly.
I'm not saying dirt, I'm saying clutter. Clutter is good.
Y'all don't even want to see my house then. My house is clean, but boy, I'm a clutter bug.
Yeah.
I call it that, quote, lived in look.
That's why most of my houses, the living room and the other rooms are not all that cluttered. But boy, when you come in the kitchen, there's like shit everywhere. Like it must be time for breakfast. And I think proportionally this one I'm not insisting that there's hinges on the doors. I'm just saying that
You're just insisting you would take off for there not being any.
Very slightly, yes. My whole thing with for something like cozy cottages, I don't know about you, I get a picture in my head of what a cozy cottage looks like. And it's not some gigantic mansion.
Like the ones that won the contest. Excuse me, can I get some privacy here?
No. Oh my God. Well, this is a good sized house, but it's actually, I don't know, I would consider this something cozier than, say, the last one we went to.
I'm not gonna lie, I was so furious at the winners, not because they weren't amazing builds of the Cozy Cottages 2 contest, but because I was like, those are freaking cottages!
Right, well, if you read the rules, if you read the rules just said a house. It didn't say it had to be like a tiny little, cottage. And they the ones that won scored highest. That was the bottom line. Like we took the score sheet, put my numbers plus Divas plus Sailors, and the one that came out on top won. So, that's it. There's no mystery to how I'm judging. I'm not. This would actually be a problem though, because
I don't
See,
know.
I get a
I
bad
look at
spot.
I look at how nitpicky you are over your own incredible meticulous builds, and I'm like, flip table, screw it, not entering.
Well, no, 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 no. I'm not meaning to be that way. I'm just saying. I honestly, it, I would hold myself or like Diva or somebody else to a pretty high standard because they've got when you're talking somebody that has 30, 40, 50, or 98 builds, they should know this shit. You know, they at that point they should. I think once you hit 30, 40, 50, or whatever, you there's a certain level of quality that people should expect from them. And that might sound like being an asshole or something, but it's not. Um, it's not meant to be. I'm pretty lenient when somebody says that they're a first time entrant or builder. I'm pretty lenient. You know, until they start complaining uh, about how it's not fair that they have to compete against somebody like me. Exactly, prickly. You've had enough practice to level up to being that meticulous. And I just think that somebody that has that many should be held to a high standard. So you'll notice a lot of times if when they're my contests, what you'll see a lot of is that they're first time winners. They might not be first time builders, but they'll be a first time winner, or that might be the first contest they've entered. And a couple times it has been their first dimension. The first Cozy Cottages, the first place winner was a first time builder. Granted, I found one thing wrong in her entire dimension. One. So she spent a lot of time on it. She did a lot of work to make sure it was straight.
That was the one with the cannon.
No, that was the one where the niece was moving into her old witch aunt's house, or
Was that Cody got one or
Cozy
two?
one.
Oh, okay, all right. I was back before my time.
Yeah. Last year, Kohler, he won the first place prize last year.
That was the cannon.
His was the one with the cannon.
Yeah, because when you said first time builder, I was like, I let him live last year, but I'm putting that hit back out on him.
Yeah. He
First time
wasn't
builder.
he was not a first time builder. He had, I think, 4 or 5 when he built that one. None of the ones that he built when he built that one were houses.
You're not making me like him anymore.
Sorry.
I was hoping you were going to say he'd been around for
Well,
like 20
see, that's why
years
I'm
and it was like
saying
this millionth build.
that's why I'm saying just, take your time. Uh, get a friend to come in and look at it when it's done. A friend that can be honest. That's the important part. The friend needs to be honest and not just say, "Oh, well, this is fantastic. Blah 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 blah." They need to say, "Hey, your cabinets. You've got your bottom cabinets are sitting here at hip level. Your upper cabinets are 3 miles above the top of your head. Your proportions are jacked up." Or, "Hey, there's a gap here. Hey, you got this. Even though you might
Hey,
get
you don't have any
frustrated."
hinges on your damn front door.
Yeah, yeah, someone that can point out um, the flaws that you may have missed. I mean, that's a lot of it right there. Is just taking your time and build what you want to build. You know, if you want to build a gigantic mansion, fuck, build it. You know, don't build just what you have this prescribed notion of what we want to see.
I'm gonna start a petition to rename Cozy Cottages to just build whatever.
As long as it's a house. Well, I picked cozy cottages because cozy. I like the whole alliteration thing because like there's been cozy
It
cottages,
sounds good, Cozy Cottages.
total transformations, and speaking of the transformation piece, this one would would probably get the full point bonus. Just because, I mean, you would not know. That's get check work. That's actually a good a good way to do it, and that's probably why I asked you to come and look at mine.
Heartfelt. Aw, Sparkling,
Yeah,
that's so cute.
yeah,
But
and
no.
you know when you come in as a judge or a tourist, you can kind of tell, especially with a contest build, if they rushed it, if they just weren't really feeling it, or if it was something that they had a lot of fun with. You can kind of tell. So, whew. So this wasn't meant to be intimidating. It wasn't meant to try to put anybody off. It was just meant, to be like, hey, this is um, what you could do. These are ways to get a clean build. Because once the build is clean, then there's nothing that. If the build is clean, then they can't really. No judge can really deduct too much for. There's not a lot of room for other deductions, except for like aesthetics. Like if you've got something that totally clashes, like I'm going to do my whole house in orange, yellow, and purple, that may see a deduction in some aesthetics if it.
It's all about taste.
What if you say it was perfect and an earthquake hit? I would say that's probably a different contest than cozy cottages. And it may not do as well as you hoped. So, whew.
Is that it? You got anything else to say?
No, I think that's pretty much it, unless anyone has any questions. Um, I'm more than happy to answer questions in chat, in game. Um, However, yeah.
I can give you guys her phone number if
No,
you.
don't do that.
She likes texts at 3 a.m.
No, I don't. Well, if it's on a weeknight, it's not getting answered.
Are we giving shit away today?
Yes, we are. I still got some
Heffalumps?
Tusker codes. Yeah.
How many?
Uh, we'll do
5?
5. Yeah.
Alright, guys. If you are interested in having one of these big-ass elephant mounts, go ahead and say something in chat. Typically, hashtag #oddsrocks will up your chances.
How about I skip judging? No, no, no.
No shit. Why don't you just host the contest and give us the prizes?
No. Well, I mean, you're talking anytime it's a player-sponsored contest, they're coming out of pocket for these prizes. So,
Fiend is just like, there will be no ties. This shit's expensive.
Well, no, I don't have ties. That's why I get 3 judges. There was one contest I got 5 judges, and that was a little bit too much. Because then you're talking about herding cats. Even though it should just be, hey, point total, this, and this. And I think one of them, total transformations, we did have a tie.
Alright, guys. I'm going to start rolling in about 10 seconds. So, if you're interested in one of these heffalumps, say something.
But total transformations, we also paid out 26 recs.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, I know for my money, I want, to not have my time wasted. That's being very blunt.
Alright, Red 6.
Prickly.
Prickly. Oh, rich dude. Sparkling.
I only saw 3 so far.
I swear to God, it said Farah on my screen. Because all I have entered is Farah, Marth, Prickly, Red, and Sparkling. And DC Moore. Oh, I guess you don't
Oh,
get one,
damn.
Farah.
Talk about
Because,
way to sneak in there.
sorry, bro. I swear it said Farah on my screen, though. Oh.
Okay. Do one more, just because I don't think Marth has enough. Okay. Well, you're not getting 2 of them.
Well, yeah, because it's all the same people, and then Duck. So Martha's the only one who didn't win then, but she's like got 20 of them, so
Yeah.
I think she'll be okay.
She usually has those weighted dice. Hmm. Thought I saw some funkiness up there. So yeah, again, the biggest thing is, just build something that you want and you're proud of. Um, if you're entering to win, you're pretty much going to be setting yourself up for failure. Uh, or entering only to win. I'm not saying everyone wants to win, uh, but before that, make sure you build something that you like and you're proud of first. So I know with the treehouse thing coming up, don't I don't expect to win. I don't expect to do very well at all, but I had a great time. I had a great time making it. So that makes it valuable just for me. And I never would have built it if it weren't for that contest. So I owe Kula a big thanks for that. All right. So we'll be back next time on the 24th. Kula will be with us on the 1st of July. We're going to be looking at those treehouse entries. Um, he's not going
I'll
to be able to.
probably be fired, but
He's not going to be able to. He's probably not going to be able to make it on the 24th. He says he's moving. So remember, the entries for that contest close on the 19th of June, so there is still time to enter. Cozy Cottages is going to announce on June 15th, so I finally got my word back from Tryon about what they're going to support us with. So thank you for everyone for tuning in today, and we will see you next time.